And here we are, Wednesday night from the shiny state of Florida. The scout, Mr. Daniel Kelly, myself in the exact opposite corner in the Pacific Northwest outside of Portland, Oregon. I am Stacy Bauman. Welcome into the Dirty Pocket. My friend, I usually talk to you quite a bit throughout the week and weekend. We haven't talked much this week. You are a busy man. Maybe it's because you're covering the Jets, the Lions, and now the 49ers, who it turns out their fans are kind of passionate. They've got opinions.
yes, they do. They do. And I've lit the fuse with Trey Lance and Jimmy G.
Oh my God, have you lit the fuse to the tunes of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people reading these controversial articles, which I might add, folks, people think is clickbait. These are real opinions me and this guy talk about off the air. This is real scouting here. So you guys can be pop-offs and nasty on Twitter because, you know, that's a real balanced format, place to meet people. But these are real takes. This man watches a lot of film, and so give him his props. By the way, all evidence completely points to the fact that you are correct. Garoppolo's still a Niner. Trey Lance just getting kind of, he's working real hard endorsements from his coach. So
Right. And just to put things in perspective tonight, I launched a new poll on Twitter.
Dangerous.
On my page, and at Daniel Kelly Book is my page on Twitter. And are you ready? You ready for this one? I just want to kind of illustrate a point. I wanted to kind of I wanted to try to illustrate something by asking a question. And you know what the question I asked?
Oh boy.
Here we go. Ready?
Okay, here we go.
Question. Would the 49ers nation give a damn about Trey Lance if he played for the Carolina Panthers?
That's the question. And was it a yes or no?
It's a yes or no. And so far, the results of the poll have received 24 votes as of right now. The poll has 1 day and 21 hours left. And so far, we have 17% saying yes and 83% saying no. So what I think we have here, folks, see, you know where I'm going with this. What I think we have here, folks, is we have nobody really cares after all about Trey Lance. I mean, it's kind of like those Barnum polls, when they say like 80% of Americans love a hot dog at a baseball game, but they're not really polling 400 million people. It's like 1,000 people. They take a random sampling, right? It's the same type of thing with this poll. It shows and it illustrates that really and truly the 49ers nation cares about winning and cares about their football team. They don't really care about Trey Lance, even though they're making such a big deal about it. That's what I wanted to illustrate. So, yeah,
it appears as though you are correct
in
a very unscientific poll that I didn't even know about. I need to go vote.
Very unscientific, but also very effective and very subtle way of proving my point is that, maybe Trey Lance isn't as good as everybody thinks he is in San Francisco. They want him to be good. They need him to be good, but there's nothing on game film showing he is good. So that's the point there I'm illustrating. So I'm allowing the 49ers fan base to basically answer a question they really wouldn't want to answer if they really understood the methodology behind it.
Yep. I think that you're red hot and onto something with that. I don't think there's any question that is the case. So, oh my God, Trey Lance watch. Well, there's our Trey Lance reference to start the show. Before we launch into the real reason we're getting 3 weeks in a row, what are we drinking tonight? The Scout, once again, give us the promo, give us the sentence.
Let's pause for stations to identify themselves. You're listening to the Dirty Pocket. No, here we go. Okay. Can you tell? I mean, it's almost 11 o'clock out here, and I feel like I just woke up. Okay, even though I've been up since 7 a.m. Basically, okay, here we go. Okay. Pepsi, the official drink at the Dirty Pocket. When you're thirsty and Trey Lance is not quenching that thirst, grab a Pepsi.
Wow. I mean, just straight drop some Trey Lance into the promo this week.
Oh, absolutely. Hashtag.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Nice work. And I'll tell you, man, straight up, it looks like we're having some internet issues. You are freezing and garbling. So if you've got any windows open on that end on your computer, please close them. I don't know what's going on, but we're losing you every few seconds. Welcome to live television. Welcome to the Dirty Pocket. We didn't lose you, did we? You still there?
Here I am.
Okay, he's still there. Excellent.
Much
Technical
to
difficulties.
Much to the chagrin of a lot of fans, I'm still here.
A lot of 49er fans got to absolutely love the fact that you are surviving.
I am. Absolutely. So, hey, I had somebody today tell me they're going to try to get me kicked off Twitter. You know, I have a 4-leaf clover for that guy. Good luck.
Wait a minute. There's literally someone trying to say they're getting you kicked off Twitter.
Oh,
Twitter,
absolutely.
the biggest cesspool on planet Earth.
Absolutely. Hey, you wouldn't believe the stuff I see out there. It's incredible.
Oh.
So I am quickly becoming the piñata on Twitter.
Oh my God! For anybody to even say that about Twitter, I mean, it took an unbelievable act of God to get the president of the United States off Twitter, and then we won't even go into that. But why would you be off Twitter? All right, we're not going to go there
because I as they said in the UK, the NFL UK page last year when they kicked me off that page was that I'm very threatening to their way of thinking.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
we have words and entire categories for people that are threatened by the way other people think.
Right. And let me say for the record, all that is a difference of opinion. That's how scary that is. That nobody can handle even a slightest difference of opinion. Anything outside the box is just too much.
So true. Nice segue. So the real reason we are here tonight is to have a little bit of fun, and there is bound to be some differences of opinion. Imagine that.
No.
I think there might be just at least a few, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. So
we're coming off that pocket. We're coming off that edge.
Coming off the edge. We're coming off hot. So we are about to launch into something very special for us at the Dirty Pocket, our young little fledgling podcast. We're going to do our 2022 NFL mock draft picks 1 through 10. And I do see this as somewhat special when I've got an ex-NFL scout and aspiring general manager here to talk about a lot of the film that you've watched as you write for Sports Illustrated and USA Today. I think we're going to have some fun unpacking what we think might happen. So let's get started with this thing. Let's do a 2022. I had to think about that for a minute. 2022 NFL mock draft. Are the people ready for this? It's a weak theme song. But we needed some sort of a transition. Okay, let's take a plug in that. Let's do this thing.
You got me stoked after listening to that. That's like locker room music. I feel like it's like give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Boom. I feel. Yes. I mean that song. I mean that was like ESPN intro stuff right there. And we see quite up to stuff. And we see the commissioner walking up to the podium, folks.
Here, more of an entrance for Scout Kelly. All right, let's bring it on the 2022 NFL mock draft here on the Dirty
Here
Pocket.
We go.
Okay, let's launch into this thing.
Monster wheels. You remember that commercial?
Oh, of course I do. Of course I do. Man, are we punchy this week, man? You'd think we've been drinking or something. Okay.
No. Actually, just a Pepsi and a smile.
Okay, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So here we go. 2022, our off-the-cuff NFL mock draft here on the Dirty Pocket. We'll look back on this with great fondness as the years pass. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. Minus Urban Meyer, minus your boy Tim Tebow, minus a franchise quarterback. Oh, was that going too far?
You're doing some projecting yourself, it seems, this evening.
It seems I am. Okay, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock, and they are making their selection with that number 1 pick. Scout Kelly, what say you?
Well, let's go live up to the commissioner on this.
Okay.
Commissioner
Okay.
Goodell. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us to the 2022 NFL Draft. The NFL fans are the greatest people on the face of the earth. Let's hear it.
Throw your money at me. Throw your money at me. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Looks like Stacy, the card is in for Jacksonville. They're coming up to the podium right now.
Okay.
Let's go live to the commissioner and then take a listen. With the first selection overall in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan.
Off the edge.
Off the edge.
Just like the dirty pocket. Wow. I got to tell you, I was all ready to counterpunch with this pick. I can't counterpunch. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to choose Aiden Hutchinson. I also think he will be overdrafted at the number 1 spot. It reminds me of another guy that I thought was a really good, solid player in Chris Long, who was a super cool dude. We'd love to have him on the show, but got drafted really high in a down year for quarterbacks. I think that's the case here with Aiden Hutchinson. What's your eval?
Well, what I have with Hutchinson is I've loved him from the first time that I've seen him play last year on game film. The guy, I mean, when I'm watching film, certain names of players will go through my mind. They'll remind me. I have 40 years of players, dancing through my head, my encyclopedic memory that's going on. And it's funny because I'll think of players I haven't thought about in years when I'm watching some of these guys. And when I started watching Aiden Hutchinson, the first name that jumped into my head was Jared Allen, the great defensive end that played for the Kansas City Chiefs and Minnesota Vikings, number 69 of the Vikings. I remember him pretty well. And, Hutchinson is one of these guys. I mean, let's face the reality, okay? It is the name of the game on defense in the National Football League. If you're going to hope to compete, you have to do one or two things, if not both, ideally. And one is get to the quarterback, and the second is cover the pass. That's just the league we live in today. It's a pass-happy league. Every team in the league is throwing the ball more than 50% of the time on teamrankings.com, and between 50 and 67%, Tampa Bay being on the high end of that spectrum. And so you've got to be able to get to the quarterback. And Hutchinson's one of these guys that's just relentless off the edge, and he comes on every single play. Now, he did go through the major injury last year. He wasn't exactly the same player early on this year when I wrote him up for SI Detroit Lions, and I bumped him down to the second round because I didn't see the consistency. They also had him standing up a lot more early in the year in Michigan. When the season progressed later in the year, they got him back to his traditional hand in the dirt, coming off the edge. And he was Aiden Hutchinson, I remember, and loved again coming off the edge. He was relentless. He was in that pocket quite a bit. And, he's not much against the run, so I don't want to get people too excited down in Jacksonville. That's not his forte, and that's not what you're paying him to do. You are paying him to get to the quarterback, and Aiden Hutchinson can get to the quarterback, and that's what it's all about. Much like Bosa does, on San Francisco. I mean, when you look at what Bosa's done for the 49ers, I also write for SI Jets. That was a game changer for Robert Saleh when he was a defensive coordinator of the 49ers back before he took the Jets job. I mean, they went up they were like 25th, 18th. They had, kind of the 49ers defense wasn't ranked that well. Once they got Bosa in there, they jumped up to number 8 in the league. He made that kind of big difference and made that whole cover 3 and everything work a lot better on San Francisco. I really think the Jets, it would not surprise me or shock me to see, knowing Saleh's background with Bosa, it would not surprise me or shock me to see, the New York Jets, Jets, the team I used to work for 4 seasons. It would not shock me to see them package number 4 and 10, and I have written about this, to move into the number 1 spot for Hutchinson, to have that type of guy, that Bosa type of guy that Saleh is absolutely positively dependent on having for his defense to tick the way it needs to tick. But short of that happening, Aiden Hutchinson, that's the guy, pick number 1, Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's going to be on his way down to Florida. And he'll like that because it's not as much snow in Florida as there is in Michigan.
Okay. Not much I can argue about that. I think the Jets would be nuts to make that trade for Aiden Hutchinson. I think he's going to be a solid, good player. I love the Jared Allen comp. That caught me off guard. Love that from the scout. By God, Jared Allen was, Hall of Fame talent here. At number one, probably a little high, but it's a down year for quarterbacks in my mind. So, okay, we're in agreement. Aiden Hutchinson becomes a Jacksonville Jaguar, and he will never have to deal with Urban Meyer. So that should be a positive under Doug Peterson there in Jacksonville. Boy, what a change for him from Michigan to the sunny shores of Florida, just like some other guy I know that just sucks up the vitamin D down there. Okay.
Absolutely. My wife Samantha and I, we sat down by the pier tonight, and after she got off work, and we sat down, looked at the ocean, smelled the salt water a little bit, and basically almost got back barely in time for the show. So here we are.
Wow. Okay, yeah. Samantha. She's keeping the man from the people. Okay.
Well, she's kind of like a mermaid. There. She loves the ocean. So
okay. Ariel she is. All right. Okay. We need to move along to keep the show clipping and moving. The Detroit Lions are on the clock. The commissioner is receiving the card. Brad Holmes and his team happens to be another team that you cover and know quite closely. Scout Kelly, the Detroit Lions march up there at number 2. What happens next? Do they make a choice? Is there a trade? What say you?
Let's go live to the commissioner. With the second selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select quarterback Malik Willis, Liberty.
Oh, God. Collectively, Detroit cheers, except for a few of us in the background are going, Look, okay, you've been high on this guy. You've been bullish. You've talked about it for several weeks on the Dirty Pocket about selling tickets, saving jobs in the front office and coaching. Stud athlete, even better kid in the interviews. I personally can't disagree more with that pick. I think it is not only way too high, I just don't know if Malik Willis is going to translate to the NFL. So, Scout Kelly, give it to us. Why is Malik Willis the guy in Detroit? I also want to just add here real quickly, it's at this spot in the draft. It would not shock me if somebody tries to trade up, especially the Saints, who just wheeled and dealed, got number 16, number 19. There could be some interesting things here with Detroit. Brad Holmes comes from the Les Snead School of General Managing, where it's like, F them picks. So this is where it could get interesting. But you say Malik Willis. Tell us why.
Well, absolutely. And let me say this. As an aspiring general manager, the ticket sales and the jersey sales are like number 1,012 on my list of priorities. That's a byproduct. The reality is Malik Willis is a dynamic dual role quarterback. He's a guy that can beat you with his feet. He can beat you with his arm. He's a guy that can move around. He's going to be the most electrifying player for the Detroit Lions since Barry Sanders was in Detroit, which I've been saying all along. And he's going to bring some life to that offense that is like watching paint dry the rest of the time. And he's going to bring excitement. You're going to see everybody in that place wearing a Willis jersey in that stadium. And he's just a guy that, there's, and this is true with all the quarterbacks, Stacey, timing routes are much different in the NFL than they are in college. We've seen the struggles that the rookies had last year coming in. It's an adjustment. You have to throw the ball before the receiver breaks in the NFL. In college football, the receivers are standing here like this. Hey, throw it to me. It's a little bit different. So that's going to be an adjustment for Willis. But the thing I like about Willis is he's going to be the most dynamic runner we've seen in this league since Lamar Jackson. And he's going to be like a Michael Vick even type runner, where whatever deficiencies he may have from a pure pocket, stand in the pocket, read things quarterback right off the bat, he's going to be able to do a little bit of what RG3 was able to do when he came out of Baylor, which is move around and get defenses to adjust to him versus him adjusting the defenses. That's going to help him out in a big way. And I just really like Willis. To me, he's the most dynamic player in the 2022 NFL draft, period.
Okay. The scout's been high on him from day one. He's been high on him for months. He's watched way more film than the rest of us, certainly me. I think
these guys are my dreams at night. I'm like, My wife, Samantha, she wakes up, she was like,
Okay,
how'd you
more
sleep?
time on the pier with Samantha then.
I'm like, it's, I'm dreaming about Kenny Pickett's hand size again. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's all day, every day.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm going to throw out my pick. Then we got to move on to 3 to keep it moving. I think that as I mentioned, I think there's a strong possibility the Saints or maybe the Giants, somebody tries to make a move that's got multiple picks up into this range if they're in love with one of these quarterbacks. I could certainly see the Saints looking at Malik Willis there and trying to trade a draft haul, which they just picked up this week, to get up there. It will be very interesting to see, in my opinion. I think the Lions here go for a knee biter in the Dan Campbell mold. I think at this spot, they shock the world and take Trayvon Walker, edge from Georgia.
A second-round defensive tackle. I'm sorry.
See, okay.
A second-round defensive tackle. Yeah, he's not an edge rusher at all.
Wow. The scout blows my world up.
Doesn't have the speed, doesn't have the moves coming off the edge. Now, if he can play defensive tackle, he can penetrate the gaps and put some pressure on that way. But he's not going to make a living in the National Football League beating left tackles. That's not happening.
I thought that you would love this pick. Here you are wearing a vintage John Riggins number 44.
Yeah, I don't.
This kid wears 44 for Georgia. I thought, I'm going to love this pick, Stacy. I'm going to love it. Nope. Ruins my night. Tells me Trayvon Walker is a second-round talent, and he can.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I walked into my Jets interview and told them that their top draft pick that year was a bust, Dorian Booz. And yeah, he was, and I still got the job. So don't feel bad. You're in good company. I mean, I sat down with Dick Haley, the architect in the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers dynasty, and told him his top draft pick, he'd been in the NFL for 40 years at that point, was a bust. So you're in good company.
Okay. I've arrived.
Yeah,
okay.
You have arrived. Yeah.
Let's move it along to the Hot Mess Express, which is the Houston Texans. And picking at number 3, my God, they could throw a dart into a dark room and they need everything. I mean, probably not go wrong from punter to, they are a mess. They pick at number 3 right here. Scout commissioner has the card in hand. Who do you think the Houston Texans are going to take a shot at?
Let's go live to the commissioner on this one.
Okay.
There he is. With the third pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Matt Corral, quarterback, Ole Miss.
This co-host mind is blown, really. Absolutely. At number 3.
We live in a quarterback's world, and there's no possible way the Houston Texans are going forward with who and what they have at quarterback. It's that simple. And Matt Corral is a polished, confident gunslinger. He's a guy that's going to come in there and do what needs to be done for the Houston Texans, and he'll help Houston forget about Deshaun Watson, and they'll move on as an organization. He's a very good quarterback. I'm very high on him, and I'm higher on him than anybody in America. And I know the injury, in the bowl game to Corral, but he's come back, and I really like that pick for Houston. I mean, organizations like Detroit and Houston, they have got to get a quarterback. Otherwise, those coaches and general managers might as well buy suitcases and start packing now. I mean, you're not going to change the tides of those organizations by bringing in a safety or a defensive lineman or a guard, or it's not going to reverse the fortunes. I mean, you need to do something dramatic. And like the old saying in the NFL is, if you have a quarterback, you have a chance.
I cannot argue with that reasoning. You're probably absolutely correct. You've certainly got more experience in a front office than I've ever had. My God, this has got disaster written all over it for some of these franchises, in my opinion. These quarterbacks, tell us this before we move on to number 4, Scout. By the way, here at number 3, I think, Pepsi in a smile, I think the Texans also do something just crazy because, it's the Texans. It's the Texans. I think they pull the trigger on someone that shouldn't be chosen until the 20s or 30s, Mr. Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame. I just see them doing it. It's so Houston.
A 3rd round grade on Hamilton.
Yeah, I know you do. It's covered in your mock draft there, folks, on SI for the Jets and others. But Matt Corral, I mean, to your point, and there's another pick coming up. I can't wait to hear what you say. there's a couple of coaches and GMs who are on the hot seat. They got to have a quarterback. And without hope, hell is not far behind.
No, you're those two organizations. I know we're moved on to Houston here, but Detroit and Houston, if they don't get quarterbacks in there, they're looking at another, tops 5-win season, 4 wins, 3 wins, whatever it may be. It's just and you hit right on it, Stacy. There's hope. There's hope for the future. They got to sell hope. They got to. I mean, you cannot continue going to these season ticket holders and continue to dig into their pockets with these hopeless situations that these teams have. You just can't do it, and that's why Detroit's ticket sales were way down. These teams have been doing this for years, and they're not going to do it anymore. These fans are not going to do it anymore. So that's what I think necessitates the quarterbacks going. And frankly, I like these quarterbacks. I like Corral and Malik Willis dramatically better than any of the 3 top quarterbacks taken in last year's draft. Dramatically.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. As I look at this draft, and I probably want to reserve judgment until we get to the end of our 10 here, I'll keep us moving. But this NFL draft to me looks like it has a really high bust potential throughout the top 10. I just see guys that are going to get overdrafted. Doesn't mean they're bad players. I actually like Matt Corral, the best of the quarterbacks myself. I just think this is high. So I think that this is going to be a very interesting draft and probably make or break some NFL careers, to your point that you're making. So, okay.
I can tell you just for really quickly to piggyback off that, half the draft picks on NFL.com, CBS, and PFF, half of my mock draft picks are different than those 3 platforms. I think they got 15, 16 guys on there going to be busts. And, Hamilton is a guy that just, he takes his foot off the gas at times when he shouldn't. He's coming off a major injury. He's too passive at times. I hear what you're saying, but yeah, I mean, to sit there and look at a safety, I mean, they might as well put their house on the market down there in Houston if they bring in a safety. Safety is about the most. It's about the most non-impactful position a football team could draft in the top 5. I mean, the guy plays 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. By the time the plays get to him, it's already over just about. So, I mean, that's not going to do anything. You might as well just go into a prevent defense and put your house on the market.
Yeah, we've seen this before, right? Like when I watch the film on this kid, Kyle Hamilton, I see Kenny Vaccaro from Texas of 8-9 years ago. Nice little player, had a career when he played for the Saints, the Titans, out of football. Athletic, not a bad player. That's not the point. We're not ripping on these guys. No. It's just, do you pick them that high? We've seen this before. Need I bring up Jamal Adams?
Oh, Jamal Adams. Let's put it this way. Kyle Hamilton could not hold Jamal Williams' Pepsi.
Jamal
Williams Pepsi. Dramatically better. Better. I mean, it's
still
like
drafted too high. Look at his career so
Jamal
far.
Adams could be like his mentor. I mean, it's
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hamilton turns me off personally, but go ahead.
Gotcha. No, that's good. Okay, keeping us moving. We're here live at the Dirty Pocket NFL 2022 draft. We got to get into pick number 4. This one should be interesting. As Sports Illustrated writer and scout Daniel Kelly has intimate knowledge. By the way, if you haven't checked out his article, his shocking mock draft, go find it, folks. Google it. Easy to find. But sitting here at number 4, the New York Jets. They have card in hand. They're going to the podium. Let's flash to the commissioner, Scout Kelly.
Absolutely. We're going to your neck of the woods, Stacy. With the 4th pick in the 2022 NFL draft, the New York Jets, as you hear all the Jets fans go crazy, right? The New York Jets select Kayvon Thibodeau, edge, Oregon.
Yeah, I'm not even going to be able to argue because that's exactly who I have at number 4. I think this is where Robert Salah is thinking, oh my God, I got the most talented guy in the draft. I got Myles Garrett light. I got Mario Williams light. He sees him sitting there and he pounces. I think Kayvon will be a Jet. What do you think of Kayvon Thibodeau? Lots of mixed bag signals right now.
Well, there are, and a lot of mocks have him dropping for some mysterious reason right now. over the last week or two. But, and I've addressed concerns that I have personally about the low stat number he put up last year. I think 6 sacks at Oregon in 2021. But, I also wrote for SI Jets that Kayvon Thibodeau will be the most disruptive football player that's been in New York since Lawrence Taylor. And I know that's a mouthful, but, the thing of it is that the thing about Thibodeau is that he may or may not always get to the quarterback, but he is an exceptionally disruptive football player. He's a defensive football player that offenses consistently and constantly have to be concerned about where he's lining up and where he's coming from, because he can close into the pocket and he can make a difference. Listen, folks, what you're looking for in the first round, top 5, top 10 especially, you're looking for difference makers. You're looking for game changers. And Thibodeau is one of those game-changing type of players that, again, we go back to Slaw, like I talked about a few minutes ago. His entire defense is dependent on having this type of pass rusher that can put heat on the quarterback. When you can get heat on the quarterback, it makes your back, your secondary look a lot better. And I tell you what, with the type of dynamics offensively the Jets have to face in the AFC East, now with Tyreek Hill even going down to Miami, and the type of, Stephon Diggs just resigned to Buffalo, I think, today. And, obviously Mac Jones, everything in New England. If you can't get to the quarterback in the AFC East, you might as well just set up a P.O. box in the basement.
God, that's great. Oh, set a P.O. box up in the basement. That's a snippet. I love that. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've got concerns after watching him the last couple of years out here in Oregon as a Duck. Loads and loads and loads of talent. I hate to even mention this the same breath, Jadeveon Clowney. Lots of talent, lots of physical desire. Worry about how much he loves football. Worry a little bit about laying off the gas pedal. I think it'll be interesting, but I don't think at number 4 with the Jets, who were 17th ranked defense, they only had 33 sacks all year. And Marcus May, their emotional leader at safety, left for the Saints in a free agent deal. They need somebody on defense.
He's instantly the best player in their defense as soon as the name leaves the commissioner's mouth.
Yeah. Okay. We agree. We shall move on to what I think are some really boring choices, although unless there's some trades that happen somewhere in this real estate of the draft, the New York Giants, who in my
G-Men, as Chris Berman would say.
G-Men, another team that is, God, they just underperform consistently. Daniel Jones, a quarterback, Saquon Barkley injured far too often. They went out and made a free agent splash at wide receiver, who basically was a malcontent and injured, didn't play all year.
Which I predicted, by the way.
Yeah, I remember you predicted that.
Yeah, I had red flags all over the place, and people came at me pre-draft, and the guy's been nothing but a red flag with the Giants.
Yep. And so here we are at the New York Giants, picking at number 5. They need a whole bunch of goodies. Scout Kelly and Commissioner Goodell, what say you?
Let's go up to the commissioner. The G-Men have selected, with the 5th selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Football Giants select Nakobe Dean, linebacker, Georgia.
Whoa. Whoa. At number 5.
Absolutely. Nakobe Dean, I'm going to give you the respect that you deserve. You could be the best pass rusher in the 2022 draft class, period. This guy is hell on wheels when it comes to pass rushing from the inside. I love the fact as I said for SI Jets, this guy is a defensive coordinator's dream. Why is that? Because linebackers can't rush the passer in the National Football League from the inside like this guy can. There's some shades even the Ray Lewis to Nakobe Dean. I'm going to go that far with it. Absolutely. This guy can wreck pockets. This guy has an explosive burst of speed that you have to have. It's non-negotiable. You have to have it as a pass rusher. If you watch Georgia at all this year, he is by far and away Georgia's best defensive player on game film. This guy, number 17, is everywhere. And let me say this. Turn up your volume. So let me say this, okay? It's time for a Pepsi moment, a smile, okay? Let me say this. Nakobe Dean is the best coverage linebacker I have seen in 40 years.
Wow.
Yes, he is that good. You're talking about a perennial Pro Bowl player, a perennial Pro Bowl talent. You're talking about a defensive MVP type of player on the Giants defense for their defense. This guy is incredible. He's a plug-and-play player that New York can plug right in. He makes an instant difference for them. And, I mean, if I was a GM of the Jets sitting there with Thibodeau and Dean, I'd be going back and forth, and I have in my mind, because Dean has shown on film that he's even a better pass rusher than Thibodeau as far as getting to the quarterback. He can close. He has the speed, the burst. And the thing about Nakobe Dean, why he's a defensive coordinator's dream, is because he's going up against the guards and the centers in the league, not the tackles. He's blowing up the inside. He's coming straight up the ladder in the pocket, and he's blowing things up. This guy's an incredible freakazoid, phenomenal football player. This guy's fun to watch. This guy, other mock drafts, if you don't have Nakobe Dean in your top 5, you don't know football.
Wow. Snip that, mark it for replay. Look, I love Nakobe Dean, probably one of my favorite players in this draft. I had him mocked to the Steelers at 20. Like, he does not get past the Steelers. They know their linebackers. They know them. So, but man, I did not see that coming. At number 5 to the Giants in the NFC East, where he's going to chase around Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott and whoever, Carson Wentz in Washington. Boy, would that be something. I said,
you don't have to chase Carson Wentz. He just stands there.
He'll wait for him. He'll meet him at the same spot.
Carson
He would have to
Wentz
chase Heineke, right?
Yeah, he would. Yeah,
okay. Okay. Mind-blowing pick in the draft. I have the Giants taking the tackle, Evan Neal, out of Alabama. I know that you are not in love with him. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, do you have him in your mind projected more as a guard? But I had the Giants just trying to shore up that offensive line for Daniel Jones and Saquon.
Well, the thing with Evan Neal is that, he's a first year starter at left tackle last year for Alabama. They moved him over there. The big concern about Evan Neal is that he was 391 pounds in high school. He's trimmed down. He's trimmed down to 350.
God,
okay.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. But we all know what happens to the 380, the 400-pound tackles. We saw with Mekhi Becton is the latest one in that we've seen. And my personal gut feeling is Neal basically gets his big payday and he starts eating Big Macs again. And he gets
Rams
back up. And here's the problem. Here's the problem with Evan Neal. Okay. That I like him as a football player. I want to go on record saying that with Evan Neal. Okay. I think he has a lot of the things that you look for and want of a left tackle. The biggest question mark I have about Evan Neal is the lateral foot speed is questionable at the collegiate level at 351. If this guy ties on another 20, 30 pounds, he's not going to make a living in the National Football League against the speed rushers coming off that blind side, that left tackle side. That's why I kind of project him more to guard. You got to be a dancing ballerina out there at left tackle if you're going to be a franchise guy. If you're talking about a top 5 pick in the National Football League, you better be a dancing bear out there. And Evan Neal just does not have the lateral foot speed that I would like to have as a left tackle, as far as I'm concerned.
I got to tell you, man, I'm having post-traumatic stress disorder because I'm remembering conversations about a certain guy named Penei Sewell. Anyway, we'll move along. But interesting scouting report on Mr. Neal. He is awful big, and that gives me nightmares of Greg Robinson of the Rams, where we passed on future Hall of Famers to draft him, and he got paid, and he started eating.
Pay the man.
Yeah,
and beat him.
That's the thing.
Too.
So, okay, I got to keep us moving as we are running it rapidly out of time in this top 10 here. Here's where I think the draft gets really weird and gets interesting. On the clock, picking at number 6, the Carolina Panthers, card in hand to the commissioner, Scout Kelly. What say you in Carolina?
With the 6th pick in the 2022 NFL draft, the Carolina Panthers select Tyler Linderbaum, center, Iowa.
What? At 6?
At 6.
A center.
They have They have big needs, and
Oh, he's a great player.
And center is arguably the most important position in the offensive line. They're making all the line calls. They're making all the adjustments. And Tyler Linderbaum has the best speed of any center I've seen in 40 years. This guy moves like a gazelle for a center. This guy can get out in space. He can block. He can pull. He can trap. He's extremely athletic. I never thought much of the center position myself, but Bill Parcells, Hall of Fame coach that hired me in New York, one of the first things he did when I got to New York was bringing Kevin Mawai from Seattle. And we see all that ended. Parcells and Mawai are in the Hall of Fame. And Linderbaum is just a technician's technician. He's a little, as they say in scouting, you might want to bleep me out, but he's a little light in the ass. That's what they say in scouting war rooms. His anchor is not what you want it to be. He did get bull rushed in 3 out of 4 games I saw, but he does great on the combo blocks. He holds his own. And let's face it, I mean, he played in the Big Ten. He played against the big boys of the Smash Mouth Football Conference in college football, was able to hold his own. And, I think that, nobody will care 5 years from now if Tyler Linderbaum was drafted at 6 or 20 once he's in the Pro Bowl. He will be a Pro Bowl center in the National Football League. He's that good.
God, I mean, I love the pick because I'm all about offensive linemen.
It's not a sexy pick.
It's not sexy. Who cares?
It's an efficient pick.
Wow. So here's the thing. Matt Rule is in a lot of trouble in Carolina. The seat is hot. The whole Sam Darnold situation. Here's where I take your guy, Malik Willis. My choice here in my mock was Malik Willis, quarterback Liberty. I think he gets everything you've ever said on this show. It gets all the attention off Matt Rule and onto this exciting, good-looking, great leader in the pocket, looks the part, sells a ton of tickets. He's got a lot of, Cam athleticism, the old Cam, NFL MVP. I think this is where Malik Willis leaves. Yeah, I think this is where Malik Willis becomes an NFL football player with Carolina. Fascinated by your pick. Personally love getting a center, a guard, a tackle. I like those guys early, unlike most people. But man, is that high. Did not see that one coming. You've shocked me so far with Dean and Linderbaum. Both players I liked, just not in the top 10. Okay, so to keep it moving, Carolina, I say quarterback, you say center. I think those are good picks either way for those guys. The New York Giants are back on the clock via their trade. Chicago Bears, the G-Men, are back on there. Scout Kelly, card is in hand, up to Commissioner Goodell. What say you? Who do the New York Giants choose at number 7 after picking at number 5?
Well, this is where Brian Daboll gets a superstar for his offense. With the 7th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Giants, football Giants, select Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State. Or should I say the Ohio State?
Yes, you're on Monday Night Football doing your bio. What in the wow, this high? Look, I think that's my favorite pick of yours so far. I think that's my favorite pick. Just because it makes so much sense. I mean, that just slides in day 1 starter, number 1 receiver. Right?
We saw the difference of what in Cincinnati, what a receiver meant to that program coming out of LSU. Okay, this is a guy that all of a sudden Daniel Jones could look a heck of a lot better with, because Garrett Wilson is not only my wide receiver 1 for the 2022 NFL Draft. He's like, there's really nobody even close to him. There's a large gap that fall off after him. Yes, Jameson Williams would be my next guy. It will actually, because of the injury, I'll get into that a little bit. But, Treylon Berks is actually my wide receiver 2 from Arkansas. But yeah, that Garrett Wilson has the look and a feel of a superstar when I watched him at Ohio State, He's a guy that can take it. He's a deep threat that can take the top off a defense. He can take that short little wide receiver bubble screen. Great yakety yak, the yards after the catch. This guy is a threat every single time he touches the football. And these are the kind of difference makers that move the meter for the New York Giants. They have to get people in there that can change the culture of what's been set up. And I tell you what, Garrett Wilson will make New York forget about the Cardonius Tony fiasco real fast. And not only that, but Brian Daboll's an offensive-minded coach, and he's got to put his trademark on this team, and he's going to do that with Garrett Wilson.
Very interesting pick, man. I think that's my favorite pick of yours. They did make a mistake last year. They also did in free agency the kid from the Lions whose name completely.
Oh, yeah, Kenny Golladay.
Thank you, Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, I have nightmares about Kenny Golladay. I wrote some articles for him about the Lions, and I thought he was severely overrated with Detroit to begin with. And I think it was just a disastrous signing for the New York Giants. To bring him in there like that. You see, that's the problem. Everybody wants to, play pin the tail on Daniel Jones, who I think is pretty decent, to be honest with you. And I liked him. I liked him when I evaluated him in 2019. But when you have a bunch of clowns playing wide receiver, it's going to not make you look that great as a quarterback. We've had this conversation about Jared Goff with the Detroit Lions. But all of a sudden, trust you and me, Daniel Jones gets Garrett Wilson in there, and all of a sudden people are going to be like, hey, it's just Jones guy. Maybe there's something there.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, man, that's my favorite pick you've made. That's my favorite pick right there. And so far, between picks 5 and 7, the Nakobe Dean to the Giants on one side of the ball, and then a playmaker on the other side of the ball, the Giants are killing this draft.
They are. They're getting two explosive, game-changing playmakers of what they're getting both sides of the ball. And there's no better way to try to change the fortunes of a football team other than bringing superstars on both sides of the ball.
Love it, man. Okay. Excellent analysis from the scout. We have to move along, and this is another one of these, to me, like the black hole of NFL football right now. I think this is even where the draft gets weird. I could see a trade out of this position, maybe again with the Saints who have picks at 16 and 19. I just think this is a strange spot for the Atlanta Falcons picking at number 8. I don't know if they see a quarterback that is better than Marcus Mariota, who is replacing, of course, Matty Ice. So I think it gets weird here. Scout Kelly, they are marching up to the podium with the card.
Take them long. They turn the card in quickly.
They better turn it in quick. Oh, by the way, I didn't give my pick for the Giants. I'm sorry, in the last pick. I have to throw this out there. I was remiss. I was so excited about your pick. I actually had somebody totally different. I had Sauce Gardner, the corner from Cincinnati, going to the Giants right there.
Good pick. Very good pick.
So I think that they are a little...
Great pick. He's my corner, CB1. That's lockdown, shutdown corner, hasn't allowed a touchdown in 4 years, says he's not going to allow a touchdown in the NFL. You can just kind of put him at corner and throw away the key. That guy can make a living on an island for a lot of years and reminds me a lot of Champ Bailey. So that's a great pick.
Ooh, high praise there. High praise there.
Hey, I named my first daughter after Champ Bailey, so absolutely it is.
Yeah, love that. I knew the story you've told on this podcast. So, yeah, with the James Bradberry kind of trade talks kind of dying with the Chiefs, I thought, is James Bradberry one of those guys they cut and bring in a guy on a rookie contract like a Sauce Gardner? Okay, we'll keep moving along as we were to the Atlanta Falcons, card in hand, marching up to the podium. Scout Kelly, who did the Atlanta Falcons choose?
With the 8th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Treylon Berks, wide receiver, Arkansas.
Oh, we were thinking the same way. Your pick is better than mine, but wide receiver, go.
Yeah, Treylon Berks, let me just kind of put it to you mildly, shades of Randy Moss on the deep ball. He's that good. This guy, I've personally sat down and spoke with Treylon Berks for SI Jets. You can go check up my article out there.
Good interview.
Thank you. About a 20, 30-minute talk with Treylon. And as he was in his training for the NFL Combine. And, I asked him a question. I said, how do you high point the ball so well? And he told me, he said, it's hard to describe, but the other guy jumps and I wait like a half a second and then I jump. And this guy is phenomenal on the deep ball. He's exactly what the Atlanta Falcons need. You pair this guy with Kyle Pitts, and you put Mariota in there, all of a sudden the Atlanta Falcons are a lot healthier offensively than anybody could possibly imagine. And the thing about Treylon Berks is he's also got a little bit of that Cordell Patterson in him, that little bit of, like he can move around pre-snap. You can put him in the backfield. You can kind of motion him out. You can try to get that matchup that you want pre-snap, which their coach down in Atlanta comes from the Joe Gibbs tree. So they're good into that motion and stuff. So I can really see them using Treylon Berks exceptionally well. And this is another guy, just like Garrett Wilson, that you can throw that short little patent, very popular bubble wide receiver screen to, and he's going to pick up the yakety yak, the yards after the catch. He's going to pick those up. So, I mean, this guy is a threat from every route level, short, medium, and deep. He's especially dangerous deep, and it's exactly what the doctor ordered in Atlanta for them to get a lot healthier on offense. And like I said, Kyle Pitts is a superstar tight end. He was my tight end one last year. I think we're going to look at a couple years down the road and see this guy being the best tight end in the NFL. This guy is like a hybrid wide receiver in a tight end's body. He's awesome. And so you pair him down there and with the fiasco with Kelvin Ridley, with him, betting on himself or whoever he bet on. And then you got the Julio Jones, that boat sailed. So they need to get somebody in there. And this is exactly the type of player that fits the Atlanta Falcons profile in the first round.
Man, I got to tell you, that's a very interesting pick. I was thinking much along the same lines. But with the way you're building that offense, it looks like an NBA team. You got Marcus Mariota at point guard, distributing the ball. He's got some athleticism. You got Pitts and Berks on the edges. Good grief. Might be interesting. Certainly make for fun football in Atlanta.
Well, as an aspiring general manager, if I was picking for any of these teams that we've talked about, Stacey, you've got to find a way to make the biggest impact possible in this draft. Like we talked about the Giants getting the explosive defensive pass rusher and cover guy, Nakobe Dean, coming back with Garrett Wilson. You got to find a way to move the meter as a franchise. And Atlanta's a downtrodden team. They're face of their franchise is now playing in Indianapolis. They have to figure out something fast here. And the quickest way they can move the meter is by bringing in an explosive playmaker on offense to help get this franchise moving forward.
I love it, man. I love it. So my pick, and I think that the Falcons went straight ridiculous on this pick. I'm going to be honest. I think that they have a groaner moment in the NFL draft where everyone just groans. I think they do the same thing, but they make a mistake. They pick Drake London of USC, who continues to climb boards, or at least agents are putting it out there a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. The agents control the platforms. Yeah, this is what's happening. The agents and the PR firms are Drake London. Drake London is a great route runner. Okay, don't get me wrong.
Big kid.
But the problem is he's got thin lowers. He came down a little bit gingerly on his legs a couple times even before the injury. I see him as being a possession type receiver. He's not taking the top off the defense at all. He's a possession type guy. And that's one of these political moves that, let's get him moved up the boards and stuff. And then let's do the strings. And I can understand that totally, that, that's a groan. That would be a groaner moment. I would have to go get some Tums, or something if that happened.
Yeah, that sure would. Sorry, we're having some audio difficulty with you, Scout. So
Tums. Can you hear that?
Yeah. What's that?
To Tums. You remember that NFL commercial? There'll be a Tums moment for me if Atlanta took Drake London.
Oh, it sure would. Oh my God, it'd be terrible. I think that's the groaner. Somebody's going to lay an egg in one of these 10 picks. I think that's your most likely spot. Somebody does something really dumb right there. And the Falcons just haven't made a lot of great decisions as of late. Okay, here's an interesting one. As we move into pick 9, we're getting close to the end of our first 10 picks in the mock draft. At pick 9, the Seattle Seahawks via Denver and the Russell Wilson trade. They are marching up to the podium. Who do the Seahawks, who have been horrific drafting in recent years, they finally get a top 10 pick? What do they do with it, Scout?
One of the best men in the NFL, John Schneider, general manager. He's personally sent me handwritten letters and cards throughout the years. And great man out there. But he's turned in the card. Let's go to the commissioner.
Okay.
With the 9th pick in the 2022 NFL draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Ahmad Gardner, cornerback, Cincinnati.
So there's my guy Sauce. He ends up in the
Sauce
Pacific
Gardner.
Northwest. Not a bad pick in the NFC West when you've got to cover all those world champion Los Angeles Rams wide receivers.
Well,
Cooper
you like
Kupp,
saying that.
yeah. Oh God, I got a year of it, baby. A year of it, maybe two, because we're going to repeat. But
Ooh,
Sauce
you heard it here
Gardner,
first.
that's an interesting strategic pick there in the NFC West, and of course the receivers in Arizona as well. Interesting pick, Scout. At number 9, I had the Seahawks doing the unthinkable, something that Russell Wilson wanted them to do the last 5 years. They draft tackle Charles Cross, Mississippi State, to go
That's
with.
a groaner.
That's a groaner. Okay, I know you've not been big on Cross, but they want to run the ball, and they have not had a lot of luck doing that in recent years, and a lot of injuries at the running back position. I think they go offensive line here, and Russell Wilson throws something at the wall in Denver. Like, that's what I've been wanting for 5 years. So the Seahawks, I like your pick. That's an interesting one with the corner. It'll be fun watching him get burned by Cooper Kupp for a couple years. But no bias there.
Let's put it this way. Ahmad Gardner has guys like Cooper Kupp as toys growing up.
What? Okay. Setting records this last year, one of the best wide receiver seasons in NFL history, but Gardner's going to, okay. All right. We're going to mark that for clip. We're going to bring that back in September or so.
Hey,
all right.
You told me you're going to bring up that clip that I said Tom Brady's not going to the retirement. Where's that clip?
Oh, that clip, I did bring that up. That has been retweeted. That is.
Yeah, I want to see that again. I was the only person in America talking like that. You almost fell on the floor when I said that.
Yeah, I actually got DM'd by Bruce Arians. He asked me to take it down. I said, I can't do that.
Sorry.
Can't do that, coach.
Sorry.
Okay, let's close out our mock draft. We're almost at the hour mark of our very first NFL mock draft here on the Dirty Pocket. Pick number 10 happens to be another one close to the heart of the Scout. Not without coincidence that he is dressed in white and green tonight in the classic.
Just a coincidence, right?
Not a coincidence. 2 picks in the top 10 here. At number 10, the New York Jets close out the top 10 by drafting who, Scout Kelly?
With the 10th selection in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Ikem Iwanku, left tackle, NC State.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
I hope I'm saying his name correctly, but I will say this much. This guy is exciting. I mean, most of these guys don't excite me at all. This is a left tackle. This is the first guy you want walking off the Jets team bus. This guy is, I mean, at NC State, they gave for awards, right? Now, check this out. They gave pancake syrup, like bottles of pancake syrup for pancake blocks. This guy's got more syrup than he knows what to do with his awards from NC State. Okay, this is what I wrote for Sports Illustrated New York Jets. A reputation for being awarded pancake syrup bottles in college because he loves to finish blocks. This is an offensive lineman with a defensive mentality, a violent and devastating blocker, the first guy you want to have walk off the bus, as I mentioned. This guy drives people into the ground. Yeah. This is the type of person that will change the identity and the complexion of the New York Jets offense, who's kind of like a happy little, Zach Wilson, Braxton Berrios, and it's kind of like this little like Peanuts, Charlie Brown thing, Linus and stuff, it's kind of like this little happy little kids thing they got going with the Jets. Okay, one wears a little T-shirt that says Zach Wilson's good, and the other one wears a T-shirt that says Braxton Berrios is good, and okay, okay. You should see my tweet. I'm getting ready to send out. It says Zach Wilson is good, and then the back of it says ... but he holds the ball too long on the back of the shirt. Okay, but Ikem is a guy that just is a difference maker. He changes the complexion, I said, of the offense. He's a guy that's mean. He's nasty. He just changes that whole identity of the Jets. Like, you know what? If you're going to hit my quarterback, I'm going to hit you in the mouth. Okay. And this guy's just got this violent mentality that it's so necessary for the Jets. Again, you're looking for players that can move the meter the fastest, the quickest guys that can move the meter. And these are the type of guys like a Thibodeau. I mean, Thibodeau and Owaku have the most dominant alpha personalities in this draft. And that's why I like both of them going to the Jets, because they change the chemistry. They change the complexion of the team. They get both sides of the ball lift, just like I talked about with the Giants. And, this guy, I tell you what, if you're going to get the Zach Wilson, you're going to have to go through this guy. And good luck to anybody making a living going through him. Now, I'm not crazy about Akeem's footwork laterally, just like I'm not with really anybody in this draft at left tackle. I'm not crazy about the footwork. But I tell you what he does do is he gives that little extra effort. He'll chase you down. He'll keep running after you, and he's going to make sure you stay off his quarterback. This guy is a big-time football player. People think he's a guard. He's not. He's a tackle. I really like Akeem Owaku. And I tell you what, if I'm seeing a Joe Douglas's seat, that's where I'm going with this one.
Okay. Well scouted. Very nice scout. I chose differently. I love that pick. I love that kid in this draft. One of my favorite players in this draft, I might add. I think the Jets go crazy. They stick to defense. They give Thibodeau a running mate on the other side. They go George Karlaftis from Purdue off the edge. I think Robert Saleh goes, oh, yeah, I'm going to start playing defense my way. So that was my choice there. 2 defensive picks by the Jets in the first round. Love yours. Coming back with an offensive lineman and an edge rusher. Can't argue. I'll tell you what, the Jets are building something special on the offensive line up there. I mean, you got Mekhi Becton, you got the guard from USC whose name escapes me on the left side, and then you add
Vera Tucker.
Thank you, Vera Tucker from last year's draft.
See, I told you I dream about these people, man.
You do.
I don't have the truck even feeding me the information on my.
There's nobody in the truck because there's
nobody
no
on these
truck.
There's no truck. There is actually. It's a neighbor's truck, but there's nobody in it.
Get a new muffler.
The guy's in bed.
So yeah, I think that the Jets are actually trying to do something for Zach Wilson up there along the offensive line. Wouldn't be shocked if I hope they don't do it this high, go after a wide receiver there. There's some guys in free agency and everything. Build the lines, both sides of them. Love the picks there. Folks, that concludes our top picks 1 through 10 in the 2022 Dirty Pocket NFL Draft, sponsored by Pepsi and a Smile, courtesy of the Scout Kelly.
That's right.
Okay, my friend, we are overtime tonight. So, any parting shots or words of wisdom for those who might be watching or listening to Dirty Pocket this week?
Well, absolutely. I think things are going to get even crazier as we head towards the NFL draft. I mean, this is like Christmas time. I mean, this is instead of last second shopping, it's last second trades. We're seeing a lot of major moves, and I don't think we're done seeing moves quite yet. And, just kind of, wonder what's going to happen. I personally think Tom Brady's still in play, as we've talked about to San Francisco. After I looked at Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G, I give him a B- for a grade. I'm not necessarily sold on him getting the 49ers to the promised land and winning it. And I'm sure not sold on Trey Lance. And guess what? Kyle Shanahan isn't either. That's why he hasn't made a decision. So I think there's a little something there behind door number 3. Like, remember Monty Hall, the game show host? What's behind door number 3? I think there's something. That's my parting shot. Is I think something's going to happen in San Francisco, and we've almost all but forgotten about the Kyler Murray situation, which is completely still unsettled out there. Of course, Baker Mayfield too is going to find a new home at some point. So I think we're going to see a lot of major moves as we head into the 2022 NFL draft. Stacey.
Couldn't agree more, my friend. My parting shot this week is personal. I know this shocks you. We just added Bobby Wagner to the world champion Los Angeles Rams defense. We have Hall of Famers at every level of that defense now. And why do you
say that with a smile?
I couldn't be more excited about the opportunity to repeat. And I agree with you, though. I think free agency, the second phase, is just getting heated up. Guys like, my gosh, Ndamukong Suh, Julio Jones, OBJ. Baker Mayfield wants out. There's a lot of activity left to happen between now and training camp, and man, is it going to be fun.
I tell you what, I can hardly take going back and watching the show for a second time, listening to it repeat as far as you talking about the Rams. Even I can't even imagine how obnoxious it's become if you did. I can't imagine it even. I mean, it's bad enough you got like put that jersey in our face. It's like subliminal. It's like back when we were kids. If you played a record backwards and said another message, every week we got to look at this Rams stuff on the screen. And I knew as soon as I saw Wagner signing with your team, I'm like, oh, geez. I'm like,
here we go.
Here we go. It's.
I'll tell you what, man. If this was 2005, 2007, I'd be hiding. I wouldn't even be bringing up the Rams. But look, we happen to be enjoying some really special times.
The Lambs, as they used to be. Their
oh
nickname.
Yeah, we've heard it all. I mean, as a guy who covers the Niners, the Sosar, all that stuff. So those are our parting shots. We are overtime this week, folks. Thank you for joining us. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Dirty Pocket Pod. You can find the Scout, who is extremely busy and looking tired these days from all the writing for the Jets, Lions, 49ers, USA Today, Rutgers football, and a host of other side projects. You can find him there. You can find me at gridironicon.com.
I'm typing, Stacey. I'm typing.
I know. Thanks for taking a break to have a Pepsi and a smile with us tonight.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Hey, tell you what, the official drink of the Dirty Pocket.
And on that note, we're going to sign off. Pepsi, call us, contact us. Thanks for joining us on the Dirty Pocket. We'll see you again next week.
Available wherever refreshments are sold.